Hello, wonderful people, and welcome to this first of the webinar series by Growth Masters to coaches and for coaches and consultants. And we're in here for a series. This will be 8 webinars that are destined to actually help coaches and consultants move forward, particularly in the areas of sales and marketing. Right. So this webinar is focused on one particular major question. One major question that's on the mind of many coaches, and even in the mind of many who have already seen or who are already making some good money, not just those who are starting. So, why are coaches with weaker frameworks or weaker strategies or weaker, experience than yours, right? Booking more clients than you this month. Right. So why are coaches with weaker frameworks than yours booking more clients than you this month? This is meant to be a webinar that directs you to what exactly to do to even understanding the real cause of the problem is a 360 experience, and that's what we do at Growth Masters Consult, like really helping you understand what's actually wrong fully, and even from your own understanding or from your own mindset, what's exactly wrong in your way of thinking, addressing it at the core and bringing you the solution and even helping you deal with the reasons why you may not even implement the solutions, right? So you are in for a good time. And one framework that we develop here is our authority gap framework. Our authority gap framework and it's structured in such a way that it makes it so easy for you to answer this question of why coaches with weaker frameworks, less experience than yours, actually booking more clients this month than you are, right? Or even the subsequent months. So we put it as this month so that it can be more specific to you. All right. So who exactly is this for? Who exactly is this for? So this is for any coach, right? Already earning $5,000 a month, right? As a coach or consultant. This isn't really the session when it comes to you trying to get your first client. It can help you if you want to get your first client, but it's really meant for people who have already been getting clients, but seems to have reached a ceiling, seems not to be going further than that particular level, particularly for that audience. And maybe you've watched someone with less experience than you fill their calendar while yours has gaps. So there's that particular coach who maybe started after you in the business, you saw them starting, and it seems like they're always busy, right? You check around and it seems like there's always business for them. They're always working with this and that. And you with so much experience, you with so much knowledge seems not to be doing so much. So what's happening? What's happening? And then you post content, you show up, you know your subject cold, right? You know so much about what you do, and it still isn't converting the way you should. So you are doing whatever you can. They say post more content, post on LinkedIn, write on Substack, do whatever has to be done. You do everything. It seems like nothing is still changing. Sometimes there is just something that has to be done. The change may not be much, but when you make that change, so much happens from there. And then you started to wonder if the problem is you or your niche or the algorithm. Is none of those, truly. It's none of those. And this particular webinar will help you find out what exactly is the reason behind all that is happening with your business. So why should you listen to me? Again, my name is Nakabute and I'm from the Growth Masters Consult. I come from a background of helping brands, helping individuals, and helping organizations make video content and make content in general online, and particularly in the area of video and thought leadership, right? So that's what I've done over the past 6 years. I've helped tens, hundreds of brands, organization actually get their content online, get their voice online. And one thing that I've decided over the past few years is to give a special attention to the area of coaches and consultants. Why coaches and consultants? Because I do see myself a lot as a coach and consultant. I do train people. That's what I like. That's what I enjoy doing. I like teaching. I like sharing my ideas. I like helping people solve problems, right? Beyond even solving my own, but helping them solve their problems. And I enjoy doing that as well for a living. And with my experience in content creation, I definitely understand why many coaches will need this in this particular time. So this is exactly what we are here for. And Growth Consult does a lot in terms of helping brands with their growth issues, right? Helping coaches and consultants in particular unlock the next level of growth for them. All right, so let's go into the journey, right? So this webinar will take you through a journey. And again, I told you at the start that this is going to be a wholesome experience. Wholesome experience, meaning you will go to the very root of the problem. Many solutions. I like the webinar concept to address those type of things because I'm not in a I'm not doing it so that I can match up an algorithm demand of maybe having a shorter video. Maybe I'm supposed to have a 8 minute or 10 minute video, and then I'm forced to put in some things very quickly to just satisfy the algorithm, right? Beyond that, I want to really help you solve this. I want you to have, I mean, as you implement this on your own or whether you decide to work with us, to have a success story out of this and to really understand what's the source of it. Because many other times, the 8 minutes video, the 6 minute videos, the 10 minutes video, they do well for the guru and the algorithm, but for you with the problem, they touch very little. Because if we should really address the reason why your business is stuck or your coaching revenue has been stuck and people with less experience and weaker frameworks than you are actually making money, it will take a little bit more time than that. And it will take a little bit more dedication than you. So beyond the usual, I mean, animations and the lighting and and the icons that you see on YouTube videos, this may not be that type of YouTube video for you. This may not be that type of video for you at all. But if you really want to solve this problem as specific and as personal as it is for you, it will require you that type of focus and going like, okay, these people over here know what they're talking about. So the first now we're going to look at is the real reason weaker coaches are booking you. Why coaches that seem not to be doing not seem not to know so much as you are actually outbooking you. And even beyond coaches not outbooking you, why are you not booking more? Why are you not moving away from that ceiling? Why are you not moving from the 5,000 to 10,000 a month? Why are you not moving from 10,000 a month to 30,000? Why are you not moving from 30,000 a month to actually 100K? Why are you not moving from 100K to a million? It may be something in your content, maybe something in your way of approaching the market. So you want to really do something about that. All right. So the second thing is why post more advice is making it worse. 90% of the advice online about visibility will tell you that the real reason why you're not being visible is that you are not posting more, which may not be true and which is often not true. I know coaches that don't post so much. They don't even have so many followers, but they're having 100K months. 100K to $1,000 months without posting that much. What are they really doing? What do they really understand? Right? That has not really been exposed to many. And then the third thing that we look at is our solution approach to this. So that's the authority gap framework, right? And what actually builds trust. That's where you understand what actually builds trust. What makes somebody move from being a complete stranger, all right, to seeing content and having different touch points around you to them actually buying WhatsApp because sometimes we do so much of these things, trying to reach out through email, trying to reach out through ads and doing so much of it, but we don't really know what makes a change, what causes a change. If you know what causes a change, anytime you are putting out something, anytime you are doing something, be it a partnership or an in-house work, you know exactly what to do. You know exactly whether this thing will move the needle or just not do anything at all, or you are just fulfilling all righteousness in trying to get a business going. And then the next thing that you see is a 5 minute authority gap audit that you can run today. In fact, as you are watching this video, you can run it. So again, this is meant to solve the problem, to not just leave you with more knowledge and feeling like you move. No, actually moving the needle. And then you will look at a case study, right, of a certain client case that we put together that actually explains this thing so that you can visualize how the problem is actually solved in real life. Maybe we cannot do it one-on-one with your business, right? But we can do something about what you do. We can do something over here. All right. And then, sorry. So why does it actually feels harder than it sounds? Most of the time when solutions are brought to us, they may always look like, oh, if you just look, I should just do this thing, and then I will have my solution. But why is it like when gets to the implementation side, we either don't do everything we're supposed to do, right? Or we do what we're supposed to do, but we don't continue with it because there is a continuing in it. if you are going to get bulk up in the gym, if you are going to get muscle in the gym, if you are going to build out your body in the gym, going to the gym once is great. Going to the gym twice is great. But it's going consistently for 3 months, for 6 months, for a certain time, that metamorphoses your body. And it's the same thing that happens with any type of transformation. I think the gym example is actually one of the perfect ones when it comes to real-time transformation. Rarely will you hear that somebody went to the gym in a week and became and got bulk up like something, unless maybe they went on some weird form of injection of protein, of intakes or supplements, right? But if you want sustainable growth, there's something that's supposed to be done. So why does it sound harder to actually make a change? And then the weekly 20-minute checkup, beyond what you are going to do in this particular time, watching this webinar, following this webinar, or watching this video, what is it that you can do weekly to make sure that whatever you've gained, whatever you change in the business, stays in the business and doesn't become like a one-time change? Because you can do well for 3 months, you can do well for 6 months, and then go back to the old ways, which is not supposed to be the case. And then finally, we answer the question. So why are they booking more than you? And what changes this week? And what do you need to do? So that's how we are going to approach this whole thing, a full 360 experience for you. All right. So part eight, part one of eight. So here, I mean, again, we are going part by part because we want to answer it in different parts. So the real reason weaker coaches are booking you is not the algorithm. The real reason why weaker coaches are booking is on the algorithm. I know it's popular rhetoric online to go like, oh, when you're not, maybe there's a shadow ban on you. Maybe the algorithm is not familiar with your type of content. Maybe it has not yet picked your video. It's beyond that. And when it comes to algorithm in 2026, right? Any time from 2024 going, the algorithm overall have gotten so good because of AI and the transcription power in AI. The algorithm are able to understand fully your video sentence by sentence. It's beyond the idea of having tags or keywords or structure your video in a certain way. If your video can, if the algorithm knows that okay, the person is solving, how can I start a business with $100, right? The algorithm is able to look at all the videos that have been made out there about starting a business and go deeper and go like, who are those who have made videos about starting a business with $100? And then who has been able to solve this problem so well based on the watch history of the viewer. He can do it that way. It wasn't possible some few years ago. So that level of details tells you that if you actually, that's why I'm very confident in my content. I'm not moved. I'm not pressured to follow in something that anybody is doing. And the core of it, which is how the algorithm one, which is making sure that the video a video is going to who is meant to go, that specific person. So the idea of now chasing more views and clicks should is not wrong, but it should come to the level where we actually want to target the video to a specific person having a specific problem and deliver a specific promise to that particular person. So it is common, right? Of coaches earning $5,000 in a month, right? And to say that a less experienced peer or somebody is actually booking more than them in a category where they used to lead or where they intend to lead. All right. So this isn't a visibility problem. It's a trust conversion problem. I want you to keep that in mind. Trust. Trust will be a very big one in this webinar. So it's a trust conversion problem, and it is bigger than your content calendar. So the just stopping the whole conversation to, oh, my content is not uh on this particular platform, my content needs to go this way, is beyond that. So you assume that the gap is about how much you post, how polished you look, and how big your following is, but it isn't, right? Someone with a fraction of your expertise is booking more comes on you. In the 8 second, it takes a stranger to judge them. That's the thing. So in that short time when it takes where somebody has to make a judgment about your contact, can they tell instantly who it is for that, okay, this is for me? Can they tell exactly what changes for them? What would this thing deliver for them? And then why should they believe it in terms of evidence that's been provided? So your content may even be answering all these three questions, but answering them in the wrong way isn't a problem. So even the order in which it's being answered needs to be dealt with, and even the speed at which those things are being answered need to be dealt with. All right. So why this is bigger than it looks? So for you, maybe somebody hearing this may look at, okay, this is just read solving all these three questions and answer them in the right sequence. But it's beyond that. If you look at how deep the problem has gotten, the solution may not seem like such a simple thing. If you do not truly understand it, you would think that it's just such a simple thing. So just hold on, just stick to the video and then you understand it clearly. So this isn't one week post or one bad week. So it's a structural problem. So it's something that is deep into your content, deep into your booking page, your landing page. It is big deep into some of the past content that you've put out there. And the funny thing is that it actually compounds. It's beyond just what you see here. So I want to give you like two coaches, right? Same expertise, same week. What happens in there? So coach A, which may be, I mean, you right now having much more experience than that new coach booking way more than you. And then so coach A says that, oh, I'm here to actually help ambitious professionals unlock their next level. That's his statement. That's Coach A's statement. I'm here to help ambitious professionals unlock their next level. So what happens with that? What happens? People scroll past, right? They read it as as something anyone could have written. Everybody can try to say that nobody is in here to make any professional life worse. So everybody inherently, automatically is there to actually make any professional life better or move them to the next level. Right? Nobody put a signboard out there that want to make professional life worse for anybody, be it a coach or even the random Joe walking on the streets. And then Coach B takes a different route. So what does Coach A end up having? Two bookings in a week, or just very few bookings? And then what does Coach B, what does he do? What does he do? So he may come into the market with less experience than Coach A, maybe let's say 3 years. And then he says something like, for mid-level managers about to, so this is a statement, right? What is seen in his profile that he's helping is there for mid-level managers about to be passed over for promotion. Again, think about how that hits. So he's not just there for mid-level managers, right? He's not just there for any type of worker in the first place in the company, whether it's CCO or beginning managers, right? He's there for mid-level managers specific. And then once again, about to be passed over for promotion. That's again going over that pain. So they know these people are people that know have the when they see this line, they can quickly remember the time of despair, the time of which were the time where it seems like they were about to be promoted, it never happened, where they were given an excuse, where somebody less experienced came in there, the time of disappointment that they had. So all this is put in that one statement. So if you can put it in a way, it's how to make people feel the most and the most personal experience, personal emotions within a short time, right? We just few words. That's the magic of it. So what happens is for the course coach B is that people instantly recognize and that this is actually for them, and it actually feels written for one reader, not everybody. It feels very personal. And the irony of this is that what happens is Coach B, who seems to have streamlined and to have focused himself for just a few people, end up booking way more than Coach A. And that seems a bit weird for Coach A. It goes like, so what am I doing wrong? So you're about to find out what exactly you are doing wrong. So before you fix anything, right? A quick application, something quick that you want to do before you go ahead and fix anything. So you want to actually like size your leak. Know exactly how much you are leaking, how much you are losing. If you are taking the Coach A approach, right? And it seems more like you, or maybe you are doing Coach B, but you didn't go so deep. You didn't go so deep. Right? And you can see when I read this Coach B example, you see how deeply you can even go. And maybe you've even been thinking of going deeply. So this may be your time to actually like decide, okay, I want to streamline and create more trust for a specific target audience. But the first thing you want to do is you want to pull your last 10 posts. And not just the ones that you are the most proud of, not just the ones I mean you feel like, oh, this was actually great. So you want to treat yourself as a stranger. So pick your last 10 posts and then look at it from the eyes of a stranger. The things that a stranger will see, we see first when they come on your profile. And then for each one of them, time yourself. How long, how long? So you can have a timer on your phone, right? Every phone has a timer. You can pick your smartphone or maybe your laptop and they start to time your timer, whatever you use, right? Time yourself. So if it takes, if you time yourself, how long does it take for you to know that this is actually for who it is for? Right. So we saw when I was reading Coach B statement, right? You can call it a purpose statement or a market statement or whatever you can call it. Different ways to call it. That's something that I read for Coach B. It didn't take me long for me to actually know who this was for. And I don't think it also took you long to actually understand because the words were so aligned in such a way that they actually hit right there. You know whether you are the person or you know who it is for. So if it takes you less than 3 seconds to actually go to recheck maybe the post, and it takes you less than 3 seconds to know who exactly this is for, right? This may not be what will work for your market, right? This may not have been working, and this is what's the problem. So if it takes more than 3 seconds, it means that that piece is losing bookings before the idea even lands, and you posted it so that you can get bookings, right? Sometimes people get on social media because everybody is on social media, but those who actually make the most out of it, like they have a very mathematical and very economic look at it. Every post should move the needle forward, should move things forward, should get you more bookings, should get you closer to, should be a touch point that gets you closer to that place where the client books a call and then book you for a session or book you for a contract. Right. The third thing that you want to do, you want to count how many make a specific promise versus a general one. You will understand why we are just looking asking you to assess yourself based on those three things along the line. So help you grow is general, but then get a promotion you will pass over for the last cycle is very specific, or get a promotion that you've been waiting for is how they call it is way more specific than just helping you grow in general. So kind of very specific to what you want to address in the market. All right. So you want to do the assessment. Then now let's move to another aspect of the problem. So why post more advice is making your booking problem worse? You usually hear when there's a problem with content, post more, post more, post more, post more, pour in more content. And there's a big school of thought out there. Some of the gurus I do follow online do advise that. And there's a place for that. When you solve this problem of not being able to build trust with your content in the smoothest, in the fastest, and in the right order, then you solve that one, and your content is converting. You're at that place of where you're no more getting where you're getting a good number, then you can now increase the proportion of your posts. That makes more sense over there. So three times volume more published, three times more content being published, right? And then your booking rate remains flat. You are publishing way more, you're publishing three times, your booking rate remains flat. So in many cases in coaches that I've seen, the story is they are trying to post more, but they are not hitting the new ceiling. They are not breaking out of that ceiling. So again, it shows that it's not only a content problem. I offer content services, but saying that is usually a content problem. You need to post more content and maybe spend more on some AI tools for content will just not make sense for the person, right? Until all right. So you increase the volume, the gap didn't close, it just got louder. Again, the wrong diagnosis is what? That if I post more, if I put more content, the algorithm will not bury me, right? I will get myself discovered. And maybe actually it happened, you get discovered by more people. But in terms of converting them, whether it's a new format or posting more daily, it just doesn't happen. Right? But posting more will make you feel productive. That's the funny thing about it. And you may feel like you're actually making progress, but you are just not making progress. So why it doesn't fix anything? He said again that definitely you get more impressions, you get people to see you more, but if the underlying content still doesn't answer who it is for, first that, first that, and why they should believe you fast enough. So speed. So why they should believe but fast enough. There should be a speed in that. Doubling the volume doubles the number of people who see it and still don't book. So maybe every week you have like maybe 100 people that see the content and do not book. If you double the content, that means that you just have 200 people that will see the content and still not book. So it doesn't change the ratio, right? The ratio is the actual problem. So you don't want to look at it. One thing that I've observed over time is that looking at things as from a ratio of percentage place helps a lot because you can see 100,000 impressions. That's a big number. But then when you now look at it and you go like two bookings weekly out of 100,000 impression, that's like two over 100,000. You see how little that percentage is. That's 0.00000 something percent of whatever is being done. So it just clearly shows you how unproductive the whole activity is, and bring some honesty to that. All right. So impressions can easily deceive you. That's the truth of the matter. Impressions, views, even clicks, the wrong clicks can even deceive you. You only want to look at the ratio. So you get to realize that when you look at all this, you realize that you have a conversion problem wearing a visibility costume. That's when we want to look at it. Because what you see is your content being out there. And then you go like, okay, 10 pieces of content. Yes, a weekly, two bookings. Great, great, great. So if I go with 30 pieces of content, I will get six bookings weekly. But then you go with 13, you still get two. So it's a conversion problem, right? But then with a visibility cloth or costume. So how do we solve that? How do we solve that? We're here to solve that. We're here to move things forward for you. All right. So apply it now. Stop the volume trap before you post again. So as you're even hearing this, maybe you had content that was being scheduled. If you know that pouring out more content is just going to somehow escalate the unclarity in your business, the best thing you should do is first stop posting, right? Stop posting for the first 48 hours, right? This is not to slow you down forever, just long enough to break the reflex of more as a default feast. And if you feel like after 48 hours, you are still panicking, you still feel like you're missing out on something, I think you should make it 96 hours, right? Make it two more days. It's something that I'm personally like talking about a lot more. People not being so dependent on algorithm or how the algorithm goes, but like dependent on them solving actually the real problem for the people, right? That thing of, oh, okay, you have to post 3 times a week, you have to post 4 times a week, you have to post at 10 a.m. GMT and then 5 p.m. GMT, right? All those things are great. They do have truth in them. But they are supposed to come secondary. The first thing is you knowing clearly who you are solving the problem for, knowing where they are, right? Making the content that actually do solve the problem for them. And I mean, show proof, know the touch points, and then being specific in your promise. That's the authority gap framework. We'll talk more about that in the subsequent slides. So I want to compare your last 3 months of reach versus booking in one page. That's the honest thing. So again, that what I just asked about the impression. Look at how many people you reach in terms of impressions, right? And then look at the bookings. So if reach is up and booking are flat, maybe you are reaching more people because you increase content over time, and the booking are still the same level. Then you now have proof in your mind. It's clear to you, right, that it is a conversion gap, not a volume gap. Because sometimes it's being sold until you see the number yourself that you are having 100,000 impressions every week, but two bookings weekly, then you know that okay, something must be done. Something must be done. All right, and then the next thing is I want to redirect tomorrow's post, right, or tomorrow's energy towards, or the energy towards tomorrow's post. You want to redirect it to fix one layer, right, not add more posts. So what you want to do, for example, you want to address the caption of maybe the caption, the promise line. That's something you can easily change, like the delivery. Or maybe you want to change the call to action. Change one thing in that particular post you're about to do next, right? That energy that you are used to maybe like post more, just decide to intentionally change something because you already know the problem now. So just decide to start something, start that change, start something small in your next post. Right. So here we're about to talk about the real problem, right? And then the solution that we're proposing and some way somehow how we addresses the missing issue in your whole equation. Right. That's what we're about to do here. All right. If there's some noise in the background, very apologize for that. I'm in a very busy home, but this still has to be done. This still has to be done. All right. So the authority gap framework, what actually makes a stranger trust you enough to book? The moment you understand this, you and you understand this deeply, right? So I recommend you listen or watch this whole video, or at least this section of the video over and over. You will know exactly how to deal with your sales and marketing. You will know what will be a waste of time. Before you know what will be a waste of time, you know actually what you should spend time on, right? You know what to spend 80% of your time on. Right? What the place where you spend, right? The place where you spend the most time, right? You know those things. You know what will be a waste of time automatically. That's really what I wanted to send across in this particular session. So we have 5 layers of coaches, right? With that, so 5 layers, and these are things that we can diagnose in many coaches. And most of the time, it's not just one problem, particularly for the coaches that have hit a ceiling. We usually see that it's three or even more than, or even all the 5 layers having the issue. So the authority gap framework. So it diagnoses exactly which layer of trust. So these are all layers of trust is missing between your expertise and the stranger having the decision to book. So where you are now, you know how to solve your ICP problem, your ideal customer profile problem. You know how to deliver the perfect solution to them. That's where you are. You are just waiting for them to hit your bank account with that figure to test you and go like, let's get going. Right. So by between that gap of where you are right now and where exactly they decide to book, where is the missing trust layer? Where's the missing trust layer? All right. So the first thing that must happen is signal clarity. That's the first layer of the authority gap framework. Signal clarity. So the question here is, does your content show who you help and what changes in one glance? Does your content show one, who you help, right? And then what exactly changes from that help? And does it do it in one glance? That speed. So if you are maybe working with videos, for example, is it said quickly, right? Is it said quickly enough, right? The number of words being used to say them, and up the level of clarity in it. What exactly do you help and what changes? So does your content show who you help, what changes in one glance? And then the second level is promise specificity. So is the promise narrow enough to feel custom or generic enough to be ignored? That's a question you want to ask yourself. So when people look at what you said you are going to do, what you say you are going to do, right? Does it feel like this is the thing that I really need? Because think about people have a lot of things that they need at all point in time. They have many needs and their money is fighting for all those needs, right? Somebody has 10,000 whatever currency you are using, $10,000. But in terms of needs, they have $100,000 in needs. So the $10,000 will have to, I mean, they will have to know exactly what they need to put their attention to. Or the 100,000 in needs will have to compete it for 10,000 in provision. So how is it going to happen? So if you are going to have any stake in that 10,000 and similarly supply that they have, there must be you must be that specific in what you're about to offer to them. And they must clearly see how much this will actually change things for them. right? So is a promise, so the promise specificity is a promise narrow enough to feel custom or generic enough to be ignored. If it's generic, it gets ignored. That's what has to be said here. The third layer is proof sequencing. So not just proof, but then the sequencing, meaning the order in which the proof comes, the order in which the evidence comes, that you can actually deliver on what you say you can deliver, or that you actually deliver on the things that you say you deliver on. So is evidence shown in an order that builds a decision or scattered at random? Human beings are both logical and emotional beings. Even if they are going to make an emotional decision, if you get there, if your content some somehow get them angry or get them feel insulted unknowingly, right? Without you knowing, even if you do claim that they make decisions emotionally, they're not going to give you their money, right? They have even going to feel to block you or to feel like your content is not right for them. If it's time for them to justify their decision, the emotional decision that they made logically, will they be able to know that okay, it's because of this, and that? Like there's a logic in the human brain. So if you do want to have insight and understanding into that, you actually want to sequence your content in that direction. That's what you want to do. And then the fourth thing is trust velocity. Trust velocity. I mean, we talked a lot before framing it that way. Velocity has to do with physics, it has to do with speed. All right. So how many touch points until a stranger believes you can actually help them? How many touch points? That's the truth of the matter. Sometimes, because of how urgent our needs and our target and how desperate sometimes like we may be, there there may be the attempts or the desire or the right? Or some way, somehow, the the propensity or a certain desire to go like, oh, if I just post once or twice and I put this in there, people will buy. Maybe you have what it takes to do that, but most of the time there's a number of a number of touch points. Maybe they need to see you on Instagram, see you on TikTok, see something about you being on a certain on a certain podcast with another person that give them something. See them, maybe see you doing a giveaway or something like that. Different things that may happen before they can make the trust decision. It's good in any business, it's good. Beyond the type of money that can come very quickly and very easily, because there are definitely times where the trust velocity, they will not need to have many touch points. If somebody, maybe for example, sat in an office and with your ICP and explain to them how you've helped them, how you solved their problem, and that's that whole job for you. Somebody can compress all that time for you, all those touch points, so that when the person comes to you, they are just buying. And that's what happens. But when you are usually starting, when you're trying to break some of those ceilings, when you've not had so much impact out there, and when it seems like you may not have people that will speak for you that way, you want to be more intentional about your level of touch points. And intentionally work to minimize the touch point. That's what we talk about when we go into more details with the trust velocity. And then ask clarity. That's the fifth layer. Ask clarity. So is there one obvious next step? One obvious next step. One of us say, are you sometime in videos, are you saying DM for this? Are you just saying uh this particular maybe book a meeting? Are you saying sometime drop a DM in the chat and then drop things? Are you saying different things every time when you want them to take action? Why is there a specific, not more than two, specific call to action that you use to actually get some results? All right, so let's go into detail. Let's look at each layer in more detail. All right, so the first layer, signal clarity. Let me remove this. All right. Signal clarity. We spoke about that. So signal clarity and what does it check? So whether a first-time viewer can identify, right, without reading a caption twice, exactly who your content is for. By the time they are done reading your caption, right, once, can they know exactly who it is for? So how can you check that yourself? So show your last 5 posts to someone outside your niche. if you want to change things in your business, you have to actually do this. Like you have to be that serious to actually do this particular thing. So as I'm talking now, think about somebody who is outside your niche that you can actually give this to, right? So you find somebody who is outside your niche, you show them your last five posts for 3 seconds each. Ask who they think it is for. So after they read it, ask them, okay, who is this one for? And then you try to monitor the time. You can be using your fingers or maybe using your timer, but I think fingers as you're asking them is fine. So one or your mind, you're counting. Then okay, this is if they take more than 3 seconds, you know that you have a problem. You have a problem because it should be that fast, it should be that quick. So ask who they think it is for. And then the next thing is stuck here. What do coaches or consultants that are stuck here, what does it look like for them? What does this experiment or what does their content look like when it comes to signal clarity? So content that could apply to anyone wanting to grow. So they know they solve growth problem in a way, but they put it out there that is anyone who wants to grow. And that's very general. Very, very general. It doesn't really solve anything like that. So for coaches that do it well, this is what it looks like. So they speak specifically. So for coaches, that's something in that statement, in that profile, they can say, okay, this is for coaches. And then it goes now from even coaches to it becoming something like for coaches charging under $200 per session, who are ready to double it without more clients. Look at that. Even the amount that those they charge per session is put in there and tells them, he even goes into telling them a pain point that he wants to take away from them. They want to double it without having more clients. That's even way more specific. So it's clear who it is for. It's very clear. All right, layer number two, promise specificity. Promise specificity. So promise specificity and what it checks. So whether your stated outcomes is specific enough to feel good for one person exact situation. So whether your stated outcome is specific enough to feel built for one person's exact situation. So what you say you want to deliver, is it actually built for somebody's specific situation? Is it like a problem that's faced by everybody in that particular industry? Or the vast majority of it feels like it's built for one specific person. I mean, maybe every time I'm saying for somebody now, make it go like I have to 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 squeeze, to streamline, to go so deep into the niche, right? That's not what I'm saying. But by the time somebody read what you're saying, they know that this is for them. This is for them. This is what they've been looking for. Not something general, not also extremely narrow. I'll not go to the extreme, but it has to feel like it's actually for them. All right, so what do the coaches that get it wrong do? So they do things like unlock your potential, build the business you deserve. That sounds nice, that sounds epic, that sounds motivational, but rarely actually turns somebody into a serious customer. All right, so work example, how does it work? Rather than using something like help you grow, you do something like get the promotion you have passed over for last cycle in 90 days. So within a certain, so you don't know that in 90 days, if I follow this, I could get a promotion. That's powerful, right? That's powerful. So you see here, for example, how a coach with less experience, with weaker frameworks can even beat the one with more experience because they know how to talk to the market. They know how to make their promise so specific. If they can make the promise this specific, they will always outplay or outrun the coach that makes it very vague. And that's the truth of the matter. Right, so the third layer, proof sequencing. Proof sequencing. This will this will change a lot if you do apply it. I genuinely believe that. This will change a lot if you actually apply it. So proof sequencing. What happens here? So whether your evidence, testimonials, results, case studies, appear in an order that builds towards a decision. So the goal is not just to show them. Sometimes you hear that, oh, post more testimonials, post more screenshots, post more results, more case study. But you do that and you see that there's no results, right? Because the reason why you're actually posting those things is that you want to make sure that people actually make a decision. So you are working you are working from the end goal, which is the decision. But most of the time, people do work from the starting point, which is let me just post testimonials, case studies, and results, and they end up not getting what they're supposed to get. So this how it should be like. It should be like problem, right? Problem, mechanism, and then proof, and then invitation. So the problem connects them with what you actually connect them deeper with the problem that you stated that got everything from the signal. And then the mechanism shows that one, you're an expert. It shows that one. It shows that it wasn't luck. They may not say that they think it's luck, but that's what they're thinking in their subconscious or at the back of their mind. That's what I think that, okay, this may just be a random thing. This is because this client was maybe posting at this particular hour, or because this client was in it, because they may think that it's not something that has to do with a certain framework that, because they need to know that if I follow this, it can work for me. That it wasn't just luck. It wasn't just random. It wasn't just your algorithm picking that particular content. There was a clear proof that you actually knew what you were doing while you were doing this particular thing. And then the next thing is that, and another thing that they also allows them to compare you from other coaches. And if your approach towards bringing out the mechanism is good and well, and they can know that, okay, they can tell how truthful your own, and they can even see from what you are saying what went wrong with other coaches that they try working with, or other solutions that they use. So when you look at it that way, you understand the value of sequencing your proof, sequencing it. And then the next thing is the proof itself, like what actually happened, what you got done. You see, it comes like in the third layer over here, rather than just throwing it to the market. Because like I think sometimes we just have to put ourselves in the shoes of our customers, of our viewers. Every day it's been said that people are bombarded with like maybe like 300 or 200 to 500 ads. Think about that first. That number should humble us about whether people are actually paying attention to our content or not. So they're going to see all this every day. Maybe there is 12 p.m. By 12 p.m. they will have seen give or take 100 ads from their neighborhood, from traffic, from transit coming to their workplace, at the workplace, online, they saw something, right? Somebody sent them something, they are seeing billboard being posted here and there. All those things are things that they do see. And now you have your content in there, and with the maximum intentionality. Those who make the most out of this whole content thing, I've seen it. Sometimes when you look at them from outside, it may look like they are just playing random, quote on, or supposedly being themselves. Or that being themselves is so backed by data, so backed by expertise. They know what they are doing. They know what they're about. All right, and then invitation. It's not like this should be a natural, but many people I've seen many pieces of content where people post testimony, and they just leave it out there. They just it's like you did something great. You just go, yo, I did this. Yo, I got this done. Like it's nice. We know that you got it done, but if you don't invite me, I will not come. And sometimes we can assume that they know that, oh, I posted the proof, I posted the testimony. It means that I want you to come. But they may not feel like that. They may not feel like that at all. All right. So how do you check that over here? So self-check. So map your last month of proof-based content. So the content that you posted that has to do with testimonials, results, a case study, pull out that content, right, from the past month on your timeline. And then if it jumps between totally different outcomes with no throw line, it is random, it's not sequence, you know that you are doing something wrong. And most of the time when you do this, like for 90% of people doing it, it will be random. I have I know I can boldly say that because it's usually not thought about so much. We just think that by the time we post a testimonial, it means that we've done everything. But the sequencing changes everything. And then the fourth layer, trust velocity. Trust velocity. So how many touch points it takes a stranger to move from interesting to, oh, I believe this person can help me. How long does it take them to do that? Because most of the time it starts with interest. Okay, nice guy, he nice styling coach, nice performance coach, okay, nice relationship coach, okay, nice guy. Wise advice. Cool. I like this kind of think I'll follow, okay, I'll come back for more. And they can be coming back for more from your page and never buy, never book you. Never book you. So the idea of just post more content is so wrong. It's so wrong. All right. So how do you check that? How do you move them from interesting first to I believe this person can help me? That's such a big shift. I believe this person can help me. So they just Your content has so gotten into them, they clearly see that you know what you're about. And that means if somebody should say this thing that I believe this person can help me, it means that the person has some way somehow approach or touch their problem as personal as it is. And most of the time, buying something from someone in a market where you see many people means that you actually believe that this person can help you or or solve the problem that you are dealing with. And it will never happen until that person, that expert that you think can help you, has some way somehow tackle your problem. But how does the expert tackle your problem if he's trying to solve everybody's problem? Right? So that particular attention must be given. So self-check. So you ask three recent bookers how many pieces of your content that's what something you can do. So you ask three people that booked you recently how many pieces of your content they saw before booking. They may not give you an exact figure. You can ask them to give you a range. A range is something you can start with. Because many rarely will they you say who is nobody is minding anybody like that much, right? Rarely will they be able to give a very accurate number. So don't expect such an accurate number. So if the but expect a range. Or maybe expect like a number of days. They may give an answer in number of days rather than uh a number of posts, right? So be open to that. So if the number is high, inconsistent, velocity is low, meaning the if it's a high number, it takes so many touch points. It means that the speed at which you are getting them, I mean, to feel like then this thing is for me is really, really low, which should not really be the case. And then stack here looks like those who are doing it wrong. What does it look like? So people following for months before ever booking with no clear moments that tip them. So you are sharing good content. Your content is not bad, but there's nothing in your content or at any point in time, regardless of the number of months they watch, that actually makes them feel like, I should listen to this person. Because truth of the matter is, not that you are not even solving their problem, but you are solving everybody's problem. You are solving everybody's problem. And it may sound like a very generous thing to solve everybody's problem, but if you get to understand this thing, right? If you have this thing in mind that intro from somebody moving from interesting to them saying, I believe this person can help me, you know that okay, you cannot solve everybody's problem. You cannot solve everybody's problem. So we talk about some of those reasons, some of those deep reasons why we feel like we should solve everybody's problem. We talk about them because they are deeply rooted in our subconscious. And then the fifth layer, ask clarity. And why exactly? We also talk about why exactly all the layers work in one system because some people will try to solve one without solving everything. All right, so the ask clarity. So here we are dealing with whether there is whether there is exactly one obvious next step. Is there exactly one obvious next step every time someone is ready to act? Clarity of the step. And as at a level, the consistency of the step. So there's a step, it is clear, and then at a deeper level, it comes consistently. So self-check. So count the distant calls to action across your last 10 posts and your bio link, right? So which type of call to action do you have across your posts and then your bio link? So more than one competing option splits intent and lowers conversion for all of them. Think about that. So stack here, what does stack here looks like? Those who are getting it wrong, what does it look like? Right. So DM here, DM me in this particular one, book a call, join my list, check the link, right? Many things all at once, but it has to just be one. What works for you? What works for you? And what you want the market to resonate with. If calls do not work so much for you, let them just join your email list or whatever it is. All right. And then why this works as a system, not a checklist. Why this works as a system and not a checklist. Right, so fixing one layer in isolation moves the needle a little. That's the truth. If you're just trying to fix one layer, you are just going to move the needle a little bit. And then the coaches out booking you right now are necessarily stronger on any single layer, right? But they are rarely broken. They are not always, you cannot always say this layer is their strength. You can't always say that most of the time. But what you end up seeing is that they are rarely broken on more than one at a time. So even if there's something wrong, is not beyond more than one layer. So the truth is, you are making sure at least on 4 layers you are always on top of your game. And truly, why not aim at always being on top of your game, on all the 5 layers? Right? Why just stop at one layer? So the gap you are feeling, right, is usually three. So what's causing the business to be selling right now, to have cap in a way, right? Usually that at the level of two, I would say three, right? Three or more layers simultaneously, you are just not getting it right. So and when it compounds, you see how disastrous it can be, right? Without much changes. So in one glance, this is what in one glance, this is what the authority gap framework, right, it looks like. So you have the signal clarity, who this is for in one glance. That's so they must know exactly that this is for them in one glance. Promise specificity, a narrow, believable outcome. Don't say something impossible to achieve. And then proof sequencing. So evidence that builds a decision. You want that. You want just don't want to have evidence, but know that you are bringing evidence for the sake of a decision. So it must be sequenced in a particular way. And then trust velocity. So touch points to I believe you. So not just them hearing different things from you, but hearing them in the fastest possible way and not having to have so many touch points, right? Minimizing them as much as possible. And there are ways to go about that. And then ask clarity. So one obvious next step. One obvious next step. So when they think about your brand, they even know what they need to do next. Even when they're not on your content and then they face a problem, they know the exact thing they have to do to get closer to you. Get closer to you. The first thing may be just getting your email list, maybe just booking a free call. But they have in mind one clear thing. But imagine if you use 10 call to actions. This one here, this one here, this one here, this one here, book my call, join my email list, test S number, do this and do that. It becomes hard. And surely we must build our content in such a way that we have in mind that people are kind of busy. They have a lot going on in their mind. So there must be everything that we do for them must be so easy to consume. All right. So how to run the 5 minute authority gap audits on your own profile today. And even right now, as you're listening to me right now, as you're watching this webinar, this video, you want to do that. And if you're actually joining this video for the first time, you actually want to watch the entire webinar, right? Because this is part of an 8-part series of that particular webinar. The link for the entire webinar will be in the description. So you want to check that out. All right. So a 5 minute audit that you can run right now that will help you know where exactly there's a gap in your authority in the markets. Okay, first thing. This audit works because it forces a stranger eye view, not your own. So you are not looking at you are as much as you are the owner of the content, the owner of the business. At this moment where you are doing this audit, you are not the owner of the business. You are just a stranger. You are somebody like your customer, your potential customer. Just looking at this. In fact, you're just a random person. Just a random person. So what it is, so it's a self-score 5 questions pass through your own recent content using the exact 5 layers from the framework. No external tool, no waiting for someone else's feedback. So that's a completely free. So we put it in such a way that you can do it there. I mean, yeah, I think we should be clapped for that. Yeah. So you don't have to book you are not waiting for us to book any call as it is. You can start from where you are. So why it work? So you already know your own promise, right? Your own proof, your own niche, right? So you unconsciously fill the gaps a stranger can't. That's kind of great. So scoring each layer against a fixed external standard. So not the does it feel right from to me that or it's not really about you, it's about what the stranger will have seen so that you can see the blind spot. And then why 5 minutes? Why exactly are we doing 5 minutes? Why not all the time? Because it will force you to be honest, right? It forces you to be honest, gut honesty, and then it makes the scoring more easier and more polished rather than you waiting and trying to justify yourself and say, oh, it's because of this. Oh, but if you look at it this way, right? It's great. It will help you score more, but it's not give you the truth about your business. And you want the truth. You and I both want the truth about your business so that you can move things forward. All right. And then common failure mode. So what will you be doing wrong that will make this a complete waste of time? So scoring yourself generously, because you know the context behind your own content. And then yeah, what will you do again? How can you fix that? So you score it as if as if you are seeing each post for the first time. Genuinely, you can do that. You can do that. Just decide that it's time to fix your business. And you need that brutal honesty to do that. All right. So we are progressively headed towards the end. So the 5 minutes audit. So one question per layer. Score honestly out of 10. One. So signal, and I'll try to run this quickly. All right. So first things, the signal layer of the whole framework. So could a stranger name who this is for in 3 seconds? Right. So one question per layer, score honestly out of 10. So out of some from 1 to 10. I don't think there's zero, right? But from 1 to 10, how will you score this? So the first one, in terms of signal, could a stranger name who this is for in 3 seconds? So score it 1 out of 10. Anything below 7 means that your best content is being missed by the right people. Nah, not good, not good. All right. And then two, promise. Could this exact line sit on 10 other coaches' pages unedited? Right? When they read this particular line in your profile, right? It's more about your profile than any other post, right? When they read this particular line in your profile, do they feel like is you actually unique, or you are more like any 10 other coaches or any other coach out there in your industry or in the market overall? And the third question is proof. Does your last month of content build towards one decision or scatter? So you list the outcome shown, you list the things that you've seen. If they are related, sequencing is broken. That is true for the matter. So if you can, all the proofs that you put together, all the things that you put out there, testimonial, it seems like they seem like they are not really sequenced, they are not really related. It doesn't do the job. Doesn't do the job. And then velocity. How many touch points did your last three bookers need? You have to ask them. So you ask them directly. High inconsistent numbers mean that trust is being built too slowly. That's not so good. And then the fifth thing, right? Asks, right? So they'll ask your CTA. So how many different CTAs live across your bios and last 10 posts? So more than one active CTA is splitting the intent you work hard to build. You think about that. More than one is splitting that. So you want to have, so when they're even if they're in town, they are sleeping, they remember the problem, they remember your content, they should know the one thing that they can do to reach you. They should not be confused about it. All right. So that's it quickly for the 5 minute audit. And here you have it, the authority gap framework. All right. So we are going to look here. This is a case study. This is a case study. So how can a coach who is actually getting two bookings move from 2 to 11 in 1 month? The exact fees one coach made. I'm going to look at it in a very beautiful way. If this is your first video, this is part of a webinar, so you want to make sure that you actually check the other videos or the entire webinar together. All right. So our coach here is called Amake. She's a leadership coach in Accra. All right. So what's the situation? She's a global leadership coach in Accra. All right. With that dollar sign over there, charging $150 per session, posting daily for 6 months. Posting daily for 6 months. Each right, people are putting that type of work. Averaging 2 discovery calls booking a month. I think about you posting daily every single day, and then you are just able to make, if you had two discovery call, maybe I don't she's making on the test less than $1,000. That should not be the case. So the type of daily effort being put, that should not be the case. So what's the mistake? What's the mistake? What and why it made sense at the time? So that's what we do at Growth Masters. Not just what happened, but why were you feeling good about what happened, though it was a wrong thing, right? So her promise was unlock your leadership potential. That's what she promised. That's what she was delivering. So unlock your leadership potential. That's what she was saying. Very broad on purpose, because she genuinely works with many kinds of leaders. And that's the thing. Genuinely, she can deliver that. And genuinely, she actually worked with many type of leaders and didn't want to turn anyone away. Or it felt inclusive. It reads as generic. So she didn't want to make anybody feel like, oh, I cannot help you. I can help everybody come. And she can actually help everybody. So the whole thing felt like inclusive. Anybody can come in. And then it reads some way, somehow generic. That's your irony. So it feels inclusive, but it's kind of very normal. Because again, 90% of players in many industries will always try to open it because if you shrink, we talk about that later. If you shrink the market, it makes you feel like you are going to lose out on opportunities. And at that moment, money may be tight, or you may not be in that place of comfort. But that's the irony. It's actually supposed to be the opposite. So what changed? Runs the audit. So she goes through this audit. She goes to the authority gap framework. She runs the audit. She score 3 out of 10 on the on promise specificity. And then 4 out of 10 out on proof sequencing, and then rewrote the promise. So her two main problems were promise specificity and then proof sequencing. So she rewrote the promise around one narrow group. So she moved from I'm helping, what was the statement? Unlock your leadership potential, which is any coach or anybody out there. She moved from there to now doing what? Rewrote the promise around one narrow group, mid-level managers about to pass over promotion. That became what she focused on. Right? And then seek resequence proof into problem, mechanism, results, and then the ask. That's what changed. And then she saw herself moving from 2 bookings a month to just 11 bookings. Then right there, she hasn't really changed. She hasn't really increased her content velocity, right? The amount of content she put out there. Nothing has increased. And in fact, what you will see is that she could or she sees herself increasing her rate from $150 to $220, right? So it's the same, the average session price has increased, the same offer she has, but then reposition. That's the keyword here, reposition. All right, so this is a quick before and after to just see exactly what changed. So the promise, before it was unlock your leadership potential. Now or after it now becomes get the promotion you were passed over for in 90 days. Look at the difference. And then proof order, random wins, no throw line, right? And then that's what she was getting. So everything was just aligned in a different way. Everything in the promise related post, in the proof related posts were just organized in a very scattered way. Later, what she started doing that the problem, right? Evoke the problem, right? The mechanism, right? What was the process in solving it, and then bringing in the results, and then later coming in with the answers. All right. So call to action. What did she decide to do? So DM me. That was what she was doing at the start. Link in bio, book a call. And those things can sound professional. It can sound like you are. I know because I've been there because you say those things, and it makes you feel like you're a guru. It makes you feel like you know what you are doing. But those who actually, if a deeper observation, is actually a deeper observation, will make you realize that those who actually get bookings, they actually just have one, no more than two, in fact, call to action that they use over and over. So wherever you are, when you think about that, you know the next thing to do when you want to reach them. All right. So bookings per month, you see yourself moving from 2 to 11, and that will be the story of many of you watching this. All right. So why facing this feels harder than it sounds? Why facing this feels harder than it sounds? And this is again what we do at Growth Masters, right? Because we can be advised, you can be told the exact thing to do and still not do it. For me personally, it's heartbreaking. And you wonder like, okay, is it that the thing is not so painful, right? But I think as coaches, as educators, we must understand the nature of human nature in general and know that people can know what to do and still not do it and still have the willingness to help them. Our offers, our propositions must be structured in such a way that they do deliver on those results. So if you are here again, once again, this is part of a series. Make sure you actually watch your other videos of this series. Or what you could do is to actually watch the entire webinar together. All right, so let's move into the next one. All right, so what's the real obstacle? What stop people from actually doing stuff? So knowing the framework and applying it are two different battles. Good choice of word over there for this. It's two different battles, really. And here is what actually gets in the way. So the first obstacle, fear of narrowing the market. That's a big one. That's a big one. It's a big one, and that fear can be explained by so many things. It may not be the video for that, right? But I have a few things to say about that. So sharpening the promise feels like closing doors. Counter tactics, what do you do? How do you change the whole thing around? A narrow promise doesn't stop you from helping broader clients. But it stops you from being invisible to the one group that will book the fastest. So it's about speed. Whether you are starting that business to pay your rent, to pay your fees, to get your business moving forward, right, in the fastest and the easiest of way. If there is no narrowing, if it's not being put specific to a certain market, what end up happening is that you delay the speed at which, not that they cannot book you, but you delay the speed at which you can be booked by the market that can find you the easiest. The market that's already looking for you, looking for you. All right. So imagine they're actually looking for you genuinely. Whatever you are providing, there are people out there in a dire need, and you must believe that. You must believe that, and it's actually very true. There's somebody out there, right? Whatever you do, let me give my example. There's somebody out there, even you watching this video out there, right? Shows that there was really somebody out there who is actually getting some results as a coach, putting in the work, trying to even put in more content, but still not seeing the results. So some way, somehow, if you are positioning your content the right way, you are positioning your offer the right way, those who are supposed to find you, those who are meant to find you, those who are looking for you will get to see you. All right. So you can still say yes to anyone, definitely. Right. But your content, and then your content just needs to speak directly to someone first. So think about speak directly to someone first. So I want to, it can be now to everybody, but when somebody sees it, they might know that, okay, this is for them, but it doesn't exclude the others. Doesn't exclude the others. So obstacle number two, I don't have enough proof yet. So coaches without walls of testimonies assume proof sequencing doesn't apply to them yet, right? Counter-attacking. So proof isn't only client wins, right? It's a documented process, a before and after of your own work, or an aggregate pattern across clients. So seven out of my last 10 clients had this exact block. So you can bring out the proof in different ways. That's what I'm trying to say here. The proof doesn't have to be, oh, client came with X amount of money, now he's making 2x, 3x, 5x. That's great proof. But proof also is the documented process. People just sometimes, right, have so many things without proof in the past. And the way to do that is to actually show expertise. Bring a level of clarity that they cannot get anywhere. Anywhere. And truly, if you know your stuff and you have the best intention for the market, proof will never be a limit. Proof will never be a limit. All right, and then obstacle number three, no habits for organizing proof. That's another problem related to proof. So even coaches who agree with the framework don't have a system for capturing a sequencing proof as it happens. So it says scattered by default. Any business that will impact lives, that will live out for generation. If you just want money, this is not for you. It's not for you. If you just want money, it's not for you. But if you want a system that constantly produces money, constantly impact life, constantly blesses people, constantly reaches out to nations beyond wherever you are born or wherever you come from, there will need to be more intentionality. There will need to be systems. So as you are transforming people, as you are transforming businesses, as you are working with clients, with customers, whichever market you are in, there must be a system that is already in there that allows you to capture, right? To capture proofs, right? To capture stories, to capture insight, to capture things that to capture what? To capture the problem, to capture the mechanism that you use for that particular problem, to capture the results, and then a clear call to action. All those things must always be put in there. So we talk about this in the next part, how to actually capture this weekly. So that helps a lot. All right. So objection handling. But what if, so this is another level of objection handling. I'd put it in there so that nobody has an excuse. So you have no excuse, no excuse, no excuse at all. All right. So what if I genuinely serve a broad range of clients? That's a genuine excuse, the genuine concern, right? So narrow the entry promise, not the practice. So you want to really like it's an entry that you are trying to deal with. How people get to know you or get to do something with you. If I solve a content problem with my expertise to a maybe a coach, I don't just do content stuff for only coaches. I do content for brands, for product related businesses, for all type of product related businesses, for educational related businesses, for all type of things. But if I solve it very well for a coach, it doesn't prohibit him, it doesn't like stop him from telling his friend that sells clothes, that sells fashion related product, that sells food items or food stuff to recommend me. It doesn't stop them to recommend me to that particular thing. It doesn't stop them. Because that's just not how the human brain works. At the entry level, there may be need for being specific, but overall in the practice, it should be clear that you know how to do this thing. So we must see things from that way and just, I mean, stop trying to always have such a large entry. We just need to have a clear entry, right? A very specific one. What if my niche is already narrow and this still isn't working? So maybe you already narrowed your niche, you've done all the stuff, you've done some of the stuff that you've already done, you've already put in there. So I will address it. So then the gap is more likely to be proof sequencing or trust velocity. No signal clarity. So again, you see it's a layer. The authority gap framework is a layer. You have 5 layers. So your own may not be that particular the signal clarity where it has to be for a particular person. It may be your proof sequence or your trust velocity. So you want to run again the full 5 layer audits rather than assuming that is the same layer for everyone. So that's another thing that you may be thinking in there as you are watching this. So it's not the same layer for everyone. It's not the same layer for everyone. All right. Okay, I think there's something I didn't mention. So what if I don't have client testimonials yet? So use use process proof and aggregate patterns. So process is a proof. The final testimonial story too is a proof on its own. But then what actually changes things, right? But then what actually people think that actually changes things is always like, oh, client came with this, got this. That's also a type of that's the results proof if you can call it that way. But sometimes the patterns, the things that you've observed, not even with your business. That's why case studies are great. Not even with your business. They can be used as proofs of your expertise. So sequencing works on the proof you have, what you have, what's available. Not only the polished testimonials. The polished testimonials are great. Maybe somebody may even say the most effective, but they're not the only effective stuff that you could use. All right. So this is the habit that you want to do. So you want to turn the feast or whatever solution that we brought you here into a 20 minutes habit that you can run every single week. Because you can do this well for the first week, you can do this well for the first 3 weeks, you can do this well for the first 3 months, for the first 1 year, and then the second year, you go back again to random proof sequencing, right? A very vague target audience. So there must be something that's done consistently weekly to make sure that you're actually on track. So the weekly 20 minutes authority check that keeps this from slipping back. Again, if you are watching this, if you are just watching this video alone, right, and not the whole series, this is actually part of the webinar series. You want to check the link in the description or check the playlist to watch the other videos or watch the entire webinar altogether. All right, so this will take you 20 minutes every single week, not more than that. So the audit thesis today, only a habit, any a habit keeps tomorrow from drifting back. So what it is for? So a fixed 20 minutes weekly checkpoint that rescores your most recent content. So again, keyword rescores your most recent content, logs new proof as it happens, and catches CTA drift before it compounds. Very well. All right, so why it works? So all five layers decay quietly on their own. That's the truth. I will not say that you can just apply these five layers at once and then you are good to go forever. That's not realistic. And then a new offer nudges your promise back towards generic. A new offer nudges your promise back towards generic. That's what may happen when you have a new offer. And then a busy week, let's prove power on sequence. So you have a busy week, what you got the testimonial, but you just have no time to apply to sequence the testimonial or the story. And then a new platform feature tempts a second CTA. So much more. None of these single changes feels like a regression in the moment. Right? A weekly checkpoint catches the drift while it is 5 minutes fix. While it is a 5 minutes fix, not a 3 months rebuild. So there are so many to conclude that so many things can happen that can make you go away from what you decided to start or to stick with. And truly, I don't know that I saw a quote somewhere where I think somebody was asking Jeff Bezos what are the five innovations that he thinks we do so well in the next 10 years or 20 years. And so it's actually great to start business on the 5 or 10 new things that will change the world. But how about the things that will never change? How about the things that we know will always remain? How about building a business around those things? And when you think about it, you just go like, oh, that's true. Why not just build a business? Why not just build something about what? So there must be a way to make some things remain in your business if there must be some sustainable. People just want reliability. If you can, if whatever you are doing, right? Whatever you are doing, you just want to make sure when people ever, whether it's today, next year, or next 5 years, when they think about your problem and they know that they know exactly what to do. They know that you are just the one for them. They are not confused about it. Any brand that you've been sticking with for years, you know exactly what they're about. You know exactly what they're about. All right, so common failure mode. So what will make people, fail this? So treating the check as optional once booking pickup. So where you start doing, you apply whatever was in the webinar, well, you apply the framework, you fix your content, boom, bookings spark up. And then you think that that's just it. And then you go back to your normal way. So what should you do? So face it like a client session, non-negotiable, same day, each week, 20 minutes, no exception. So if it's like a client meeting that you cannot skip. Think about it like your big, and it's actually your biggest client. The biggest clients in any business are the clients that are not visible. The things that you will do that nobody will see. The things that we will do and they will not get applause. They will not be praised. They will not be seen by anybody, even your team. These are the things that actually get the business moving. All right. So the weekly 20-minute authority check. So the first one is minutes 1 to 5. So rescore last week, top five. So this is what you are going to do. So from the first minute to the 5 minute, you want to rescore the last week post on all five layers. Sometimes this may take more than 20 minutes, right? But 20 minutes could do it. Could do it. All right. So rescore last week top post on all five layers. So same 1 to 10 thing that you did previously. You do it on the last five on the last week post, right? On the top post last week. Maybe the top three or the top five. And then minute 5 to 12. So log one new piece of proof. So a result, a code, a pattern notice across clients, something new that came in across client that you could add in there. And then fill under the stage of your journey it proves. All right, and then minutes 12 to 18. Check your CTA counts across every platform. So your CTA, your call to action. So collapse back to one if the second one crept in. This happens more than people expect. So you may not even realize when you have introduced another CTA. You may not realize because it takes a lot of discipline and it talks of like a lot of inner peace to just decide that this thing, even as you are applying this thing, it may not even work in the first week or the first 3 weeks. But you must realize there must be something inside that make you go like, okay, this is actually right. Let me just stick to it. And you need it. You need to see any serious results. All right, minute 18 to 20. So note, write down that's notes next week's proof sequencing slot. So decide in advance where the next piece of proof goes in the problem mechanism results as order. So you want to know where exactly does it go? The next piece of proof that you have, where exactly does it fit? How do you structure it in that particular way? All right. So lastly, so why are they booking more than you? And what changes starting this week? Why is that are they booking more than you watching it this way? If you are actually watching this, getting the video for the first time, make sure you do watch the other part of the series or you watch the entire webinar as well. All right. So they are not better, genuinely, genuinely, or they do not have better means of finding solutions. That's also the truth because right now AI also can make any beginner an expert because they have better means of finding solutions. All right. So the coach outbooking you did not outbook you. The coach outbooking did not outbook you or didn't expertise you, if you can be put that way. Right? Somewhere, often by accident, their content answers who it is for. Sometimes they may not even know themselves. They may not be using the 5 layer, whatever it is, just an accident. But their content somewhere somehow answers clearly, right, who it is for, makes a narrow promise, and sequences proof towards a decision. So it just much of it is more about the discipline to just stick to that particular thing. And then one other thing that you will have to realize is that, right? That's what the entire gap actually lies. And it's never really about talent or it's never really about the algorithm. So you want to move away from feeling that you are less talented, that you are not good at this, doesn't help. Doesn't help. Sometimes you are just missing one small thing. Right. And then it was never about the algorithm. So Facebook or Meta is not against you, Snapchat is not against you, TikTok is not against you. Right? They don't have anything against you. So you now have the framework, the audits, right? And then a proof of what it does in 30 days and the weekly habit that keeps it working. What's left isn't more information. It is applying this to your exact profile, the exact niche this very week. That's what's actually needed. That's what you want to do. All right. So what do you do from here? All right, so you already know what to face, and we'd love to help you. We'd love to help you. If you care for that, we'd love to help you personally, help guide you in that particular process. That's what we can provide. All right, and maybe do it for you. Deliver all these changes and get it done for you as well. But again, it's that you have a free call with us to get that done. All right, so this webinar gave you the root diagnosis, not a teaser. So a free 15-minute discovery call is the fastest way to apply the authority gap framework to your actual niche. So we help you quickly get into the application of that and kind of know exactly what you are dealing with. So just an extra stretch from this very webinar. So your actual content and your actual numbers will actually help us with that. All right. So you can check the link in the description to book the call. Right. We would love to hear from you. I would love to see you. And if you do use or apply this in your business and you do have testimonial, you do have a change, reach out to us. We'd love to hear you. That's a way of thinking us. And if it's also your first time here, make sure you subscribe, share this video with another coach, become a member of our community. Support however you can support. That would be great to have it with you. Again, if you're just watching a clip, make sure you just watch the entire webinar as well together. And in the next webinar, we'll talk about something also that you want to be part of, you want to know. So why are you posting more than ever and getting fewer clients, inquiries than last year? Right? So you did so much more last year. You got so many results, but even this time you decided to post more. Why does it seem like you're not getting more more clients this very year, despite the fact that you're doing more? And I know this type of pain. I've been there. I've been there. So you know the 5 layers. Now, next what happens is that we go after the volume trap directly. Here we tackle the volume traps in a very slight and random way, discredited it completely, but here we're going to tackle it. Calculate. So why more content without facing the layers makes the ratio worse, not better, and what to do instead. What to do instead. So here we talk about the visibility verdict, and here will really help you deal with that. All right. Thank you once again for being a part of this. I'm glad you actually enjoyed this, and I look forward to hearing your stories and also hearing from you. Bye bye, and see you in the next webinar.